Chapter 13: The Continental Army. When the Revolution started, there was no American army. Instead, colonies had their own militias that were made up of part-time soldiers, like those who fought the British soldiers at Lexington and Concord. In 1775, the Second Continental Congress asked George Washington to lead a new army. This Continental Army was made up of volunteers. Most of these men were farmers, merchants, and workers. At the start of the war, they enlisted in the army for about 1 year at a time. Then they returned home to take care of their families. Historians estimate that 8,000 to 24,000 men were in Washington's army at any one time, including some African Americans and American Indians. Women took part as well by cooking for soldiers, mending uniforms, and caring for the sick and wounded. Some of the women even fought in battles against the British. But the Continental Army had a number of serious problems. Congress had little money to pay the soldiers, buy supplies, or provide weapons for the army. As a result, the volunteers were poorly supplied with uniforms, guns, and food. In addition, these men knew very little about being soldiers. Washington worked hard to train his men. He taught them to obey orders and to fight together. In speeches and written messages, he encouraged them to believe that they could beat the mighty British forces, even though the Americans were less skilled at battle. The colonial navy was even smaller than the army. It was made up of trade and fishing ships that carried only a few cannons. With their inexperienced army and tiny navy, the colonies were like a weak man about to fight a powerful giant.